The funny thing is that they complain a lot about toxic masculinity, but they are being toxic producers. They are gaslighting people. When you read like, oh, if your boyfriend is gaslighting you, you should leave him. This is the same. These producers, these cinematographers, these directors, these whatever, these actors are trying to gaslight us. My hypothesis is that a lot of people involved in this and in another woke productions, they are trying to become politicians one day, and they are trying to show their views and make themselves famous so that when they are running for any position, I think they imagine that people will vote for them. I really hope you are not watching not even one episode from that TV show. It's similar to accepting an invitation to go jump on Tolkien's grave. September 2nd, 1973. The world was in mourning. The sad news that the beloved writer J.R.R. Tolkien has passed away was traveling around the world. Fans from all countries and ethnicities felt the loss of the grandfather of fantasy, a writer, a gentleman, a person so beloved and cherished by his followers, by his readers, that it felt as if you had lost a family member. But you knew that he was always going to live in your heart and in his books and in his legacy. Jump to September 2nd, 2022. Hello beautiful people of the universe, how are you doing? Welcome to another video. I wanted to record this for a long time now, but life and things get in the way. But right now I think it's very important to share our voices, especially when a lot of people are stealing and appropriating stories that are so beloved by so many people. And the weird thing is that they are trying to gaslight us, making us believe that what we feel and think and know is not the truth. In one comment, I quoted the amazing lady.
As an authority on myself, I must disagree.
And yes, as an authority on myself, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to my opinions and my thoughts and my feelings. That's the key of gaslighting, when they try to underestimate feelings. And you always know what you are feeling. Your body knows what it is feeling. So, is this TV show, is The Rings of Powers an insult to Tolkien? The short answer is yes. So it is important to speak up. Tolkien and his writings sound like this.
Si no me maruvan adil dinyar tenambar meta.
And also like this. Meanwhile, the Rings of Power sound like this. And also like this.
Why do they say only boy hobbits can travel to Mount Doom? Is that true?
In the movie, only boy hobbits travel to Mount Doom, but that's only because the girls went to do something even more dangerous.
What? So girls go on adventures too?
And they go in heels.
Good.
I don't know if you can hear it on the background, but here Ecuador, people really love to party, and today we have a holiday, and luckily they are not like listening to the music very, very, very loud, because imagine to be listening to reggaeton and salsa so loud. See, now they turn up the volume. That's what I wanted to talk about Tolkien. Tolkien is not modern. Tolkien is not about nowadays. You're not going to have the hobbits twerking or the elves singing like Bad Bunny or something like that.
Hey, estoy burlado, me tienen que soportar, yeah.
This story is about magic, like something that wants to capture the soul of a forest, the soul of nature. And this sounds like the soul of nature. Not that. And yes, it sounds like, see, it was funny because I burned myself now. That music is like fire. Reggaeton, salsa, all the Latin music is like fire. And Tolkien is like water and air. So it's like combining things that has nothing to do with it. And for example, George R. Martin. This is so funny because I read and heard that Jeff Bezos, he wanted to have his own Game of Thrones. And then he goes and buys the rights for the movies of The Lord of the Rings. And I think he never heard George R. Martin saying that what he wanted to do was to explore what Tolkien never did. George R. Martin said that he always wondered why were all the characters asexuals? What was going on with with the orcs? Were there female orcs? How did Aragorn handle the orc situation? Did he commit genocide? George R. Martin wanted to explore the opposite of Tolkien. Tolkien was a romantic. Of course, he was not going to talk openly about sex in his stories. He was not interested in that. He wanted to explore the importance of friendship. And you know, now I'm treating this subject more civilized, especially because I have seen all the fans speaking up. But at the beginning it was more like this. I'm so fed up. Stop saying that Tolkien was a racist and a sexist and whatever it is you want to blame him for. How are these people even specialists on Tolkien? Have they even read the books? Oh my god. But now I'm more calmed down because the community is so united and that's so beautiful. It's so funny to see how they said that Tolkien was a racist and a sexist when he wrote characters like Eowyn and Luthien. I mean, they were trying to make him look like Hitler and no. It's so weird how people are trying to have like the moral superiority right now. And we are all human beings. We all have our light and our dark side, so... The nice thing is that the fandom who loves Tolkien is so huge, and we love Tolkien so much that we have been speaking up. I don't think that happened with Star Wars or with The Last of Us. Well, with The Last of Us, people spoke up. And that was beautiful to see. But that's when they started trying to gaslight the fans and the audience. And it all started with Star Wars and KK's strategy. Either they are very ignorant to choose the date of his passing, or the subtext just shows what they have been trying to do ever since Amazon bought the rights for the trilogy of The Lord of the Rings. which is trying to replace Tolkien, trying to steal his words, his characters, his worlds, his legacy, to paint on top of it and present someone else's creation and art as your own. You can adapt whatever you want and create your own vision and your own art, but the arrogance of saying that you are better than the original is what drove all the fandom crazy. Because these are not just products, this is not marketing. These books are the closer thing to magic that I can imagine. He took more than 30 years to write all the material that he wrote. And it's not like he said, I'm going to write this so I become a bestseller and I am a millionaire, just like what Amazon and Netflix thinks. No, he did this because he wanted to create a mythology, he wanted to create a language, and he realized that a language has to be spoken, so he needed people to speak it, and then he created a mythology also because England didn't have a mythology. They have like the inheritance, the heritage from other cultures from the north, but they didn't have a mythology. So he wrote this with so much patience, with so much love. That's why we are so angry, because this has a soul of its own, and a soul can't be stolen and insulted. It just shows a lack of creativity. Why can't they write their own story? And perhaps we could have seen that. I mean, we saw that stupidity of the Wheel of Fortune. No, the Wheel of Time. The Wheel of Time. Wheel of Fortune would have been better. The Wheel of Time. And we gave it a try, but it's bad. So ridiculous. I really wanted to like it because of the actress, but my god, it's so silly, and the magic system, how it's portrayed there, is so horrible, and the structure is like so lazy, and that's the difference. You can't find laziness here because he really took his time. You can find originality, that some people say like, oh, it was a mistake, like when in the console when they are speaking and we have pages and pages and pages of they talking, but you read those pages, you don't get bored. Also with Tom Bombadil, like, yes, it seems like it's a character with a tone that is different from the rest of the book, but whatever, he's the author, he can do whatever he wants. And respect to him, because he did it with love. That's why even if I didn't like the adaptation of Sandman, the author did it, so he can do whatever he wants with it. But Amazon and the showrunners, they are not Tolkien, so they shouldn't really be doing anything with his books and with his world. I think the difference between art and marketing is the intention with which you are creating something. With marketing, you are trying to sell, you are trying to manipulate in order to make people buy what you are selling. But art goes beyond that, and it's not wrong to have abundance because of your art, but art always has a soul. It has an intention behind it to create or beauty or express love. There's always something emotional behind art. And with Tolkien, he was just not only trying to create a world where he could play with his language, he was also trying to honor his friends, the ones who were lost in the war. He felt he had a mission, and through his writings he was honoring them, but also keeping them alive, keeping their legacy alive. his friend, G.B. Smith, he wrote to Tolkien before he died in a letter, and he said, "May you say the things I have tried to say long after I am not there to say them." I like this passage because it says Tolkien has been meditating, and I think that word meditating encapsulates what Tolkien was and what his writings are. They are an example and an expression of meditation. It's not marketing, it's not trying to sell something. It's the exercise of being with you in silence and touching your soul. And Tolkien is that. Tolkien is not dancing to copulate or to be sensual. No, it's the exercise of being with you and confronting war and regain home and peace. That's why the theme of friendship is so vibrant in the stories. When I read the books, I discovered a story about the friendship that grows at war, the friendship that grows under extreme circumstances, the bond that grows between people who have to fight together. J.B. Smith's words were a clear call to Ronald Tolkien to begin the great work that he had been meditating for some time, a grand and astonishing project with few parallels in the history of literature. He was going to create an entire mythology. So there is an importance of voice, of expression, of honesty. And perhaps these creators, they were honestly trying to say something, but their message is so different from Tolkien's message that it has no point here. Just like the Kathleen Kennedy KK message for Star Wars has nothing to do with the original message from Luke Skywalker and what George Lucas created. Those are two very different things. The funny thing is that I really thought they were using this preaching method when you go door to door, like, "Excuse me, do you have a minute to listen about our Lord, whatever?" Insert whatever god you want. And I was talking with some of the defenders of Tolkien in the internet, and he told me that one of the showrunners is a Mormon, and you can really realize that by how they are using the marketing and the gaslighting. "Excuse me, do you have a minute to talk about our transgender, genderless feminist lord who thinks you are garbage if you are not black, Asian, or Latino?" And also, what's with that? All the characters now have to be black. And they say because representation. But I don't think that a black person from Washington is the same as a black person from Missouri, or as the same as a black person from Switzerland, or a black person from Ecuador. It's not like you can put everyone in a bag and say, "Yeah, you feel represented." And I thought about this because this actor said that he was trying to put some capoeira moves in his elfin portrayal. And that really shows how they haven't even read the books, because elves have nothing to do with Brazilians or capoeira. Capoeira was a way to train martial arts disguised as dancing. Meanwhile, Tolkien is more like New Age and Celtic music, and they are two very different genders. Celt music is like water and air, and capoeira and all the Latin rhythms are more like fire and earth. So they are very two different things, like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is fire, fire and earth. That's why it has a lot of sex in it. But Tolkien, he was not like that. And I think it's more weird that a Mormon is trying to write Game of Thrones. The Rings of Power seem more like an exercise of arrogance and of resentment. And a lot of productions from this period of time seem like that. Resentment, being angry and trying to have revenge. So yes, this is an insult. And it was also trying to be a revenge against the patriarchy that they thought was represented with Tolkien. But I think Tolkien was very far away from that figure. The beautiful thing that came out from all of this is how the community united and how people are reading, new people are reading the books, and they are also buying it in old bookstores. They are looking for old editions, and so they wouldn't buy that. Because that's also gaslighting. Trying to put a cover that was never there with characters that are not related to Tolkien. Tolkien didn't write about those. And if they had said from the beginning that it is inspired in this, we wanted to reimagine something, I think they wouldn't have had so much backlash. But they started saying that Tolkien was racist, he was sexist, he was wrong, and now we're going to fix him. It's like someone would come and say like, I'm going to fix Shakespeare because he was sexist, racist, and blah blah blah. And we have a lot of adaptations of Shakespeare's work, but none of those creators were arrogant enough to say that they were better than Shakespeare or than any other of ancient writers or creators or anything. This has really been like a mess. Like a combination of arrogance, ignorance, wokenism. And the weird thing is that to be woke is to be spiritually awakened. And when you are spiritual, you are not judging anyone. So all those specialists saying that they were fixing Tolkien. What really struck me is this woman saying that she's a woman of color. What color? Pale? But then I understood that most of people from United States call all the people in South America or Latin America people of color, independently of how we look. So that's weird. She is a woman of color for them. My hypothesis is that a lot of people involved in this and in another woke productions, they are trying to become politicians one day, and they are trying to show their views and make themselves famous so that when they are running for any position, like I think they imagine that people will vote for them, like extremists, radicals, leftists. And the sad thing is that they are creating a war between sides. And you know, life is a balance. You need the middle point. Neither this, neither that, but this. But they are forcing people to take sides, and then they are attacking them if they are not in the right side. Which is funny because if they are in the right, they are in the wrong side, according to them. They thought the whole world was going to be with them because we are trying to kill the male figure and we are trying to kill the patriarchy. And the funny thing is that they are not trying to really kill the patriarchy. They are trying to make women the new patriarchy. A true matriarchy would be like very nurturing, wouldn't have women trying to portray like female warriors. I think a matriarchy would be more like the world with Wonder Woman, but they are creating these weird female figures that I don't think are real. Or if they are real, it's like a very small minority. Just like not all men are walking around with muscles. No, it's a very few percentage of males. Even in the military, you don't have those huge male figures. No, they are very athletic because they need to fight. They need to be very agile. So, but nowadays, the creations that we have, and I think I understand where it comes from because we have a lot of distorted male figures, very violent or very detached. But is the answer that females become male stereotypes? We don't need more stereotypes. We need real archetypes. We need real energies. It has been hard because a lot of women have to raise their children alone because the male figure was not there, not even to give money, nor love, nor care. And we are seeing this distorted moment where female are trying to look like male and the male is trying to look like female. And I think it's because both genders are looking for the essence of what is lacking in the other side. Like males are looking for vulnerability and nurturing, and females are looking for strength and support. So in a way it's interesting, but to take a masterpiece, a piece of art, and try to inject all those views in something that was created in the past and that has a different essence, it's not only ridiculous, but it's not going to work like they want these things to work out. Just after all this war between Star Wars and the fandom, The Last of Us and the fandom, every franchise and the fandom, I discovered this word, normies. I didn't knew about the normies, but it's like the normal people who read fantasy or know things about science fiction, things like that. But when I was a child and a teenager, the normies had another name, and it was bullies. Because the normies that I found, they didn't understand fantasy, they didn't understand science fiction, so they made fun of it. My female friends, my female colleagues, because I studied in a school with only girls, they didn't understand fantasy, they didn't understand science fiction, but at least they were not bullies. They never made fun of me, but they never understood why I loved fantasy so much. And I was a weird kid. But in books and in stories like this, I found comfort. I found a home that lived in the realm of imagination. And it was a little bit like Matilda.
These books gave Matilda a hopeful and comforting message. You are not alone.
And it's weird to say that I felt I had friends in these imaginary worlds, but it's like that. The world was horrible, but you had these stories. People were cruel and mean in the real world, but here you had heroes. You had friends. You had magic. You had poetry. So it's so weird that now they are trying to make fantasy for the normies, and they conceive the normies as regular people who only think, I don't know, in the Freudonian way. And Tolkien is not that. Tolkien is poetry. Tolkien is music, and beautiful music, not noises and not the rhythm of war. He was against war. And this discussion of, like, was Sam in love with Frodo, but they couldn't talk openly about their romance? No, I think it was friendship and it was camaraderie. I think this archetype of the zodiac sign of Virgo shows that is being in service of someone else. And being at service is very honorable and very beautiful because you are helping people. And he took his job of protecting and defending Frodo very, very, very seriously. Gandalf made him promise to take care to protect Frodo, and that's the amazing thing of Sam. He took that promise till the end, and I think it's more like the father figure more than the lover figure, and that's why Sam is a very good father. And when you're a father or a mother, you are in service of the children, of the future generations. And Sam was that. I think he was always a potential father. And he wanted to be a father because he wanted to take care of the rest. And that's what happened with Frodo. And that's it. It's a father figure more than a lover figure. and it's a friend. So this is the video, guys. Thanks for listening to me, and I'm so happy that this fandom, this community is defending Tolkien so passionately, and they are making the greatest memes ever. I really wish they make with the Rings of Power the same thing they made with Batgirl to erase that from the face of the earth. Because I think this is an abomination, and I think it is an insult, and an arrogant insult. So thanks for listening, leave your comments, and I really hope you are not watching not even one episode from that TV show, because I think it's similar to accepting an invitation to go jump on Tolkien's grave. September 2nd is the anniversary of his passing. So I really hope you don't accept the invitation of Amazon and you really don't watch the show. And speak up, let your opinion be known. And if you're a normie, don't be a bully or be whatever you want, but don't be surprised if the geeks fight back. Take care, guys. Love to you all. Bye!